Secondly, the what. Now, what the definition of diligence? Diligence, or to be diligent, earnest and persistent application to an undertaking, steady effort, assiduity, conscientiousness in paying proper attention to a task, giving the degree of care required in a given situation, persevering determination to perform a task, quietly and steadily persevering, especially in detail or exactness, characterized by care and perseverance in carrying out tasks. And pay attention to this portion. Painstaking effort. I'm going to say that again. Painstaking effort. Everybody say it with me. Painstaking effort. You've heard those who work out every now and then, no pain, no gain. Another way of looking at it is pain is weakness leaving your body. And pain is required to obtain certain level of growth. Now I want to contrast. There's the pain of growth, and then there's also the pain of regret. What we're referring to is the pain of growth. Because if you don't grow, it's just a matter of time before you're going to have the pain. But it will be the pain of regret. And if you are asking yourself, now this is rhetorically, if you are asking yourself, self, am I diligent? I would have you also ask yourself, am I feeling pain? But is it the pain of growth? Is it the pain of development? Is it the pain of diligently seeking after? Is it the pain of being persistent? Is it the pain of being dedicated? Is it the pain of going over and above? Is it the pain of doing your best, looking your best, keeping your word at all costs? Is it that type of pain? In contrast to slothfulness or the sluggard. You know, the word gets, down in Proverbs where it talks about look at the ant, thou sluggard. You can learn diligence in so many different ways. There's a poem that says, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the soldier was lost. For want of a soldier, the message was lost. For want of a message, the battle was lost. For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. All because of the want of one nail. I'm going to say it quicker this time. For want of a nail, the shoe was lost, horse was lost, rider lost, message lost, battle lost, kingdom lost, all for the want of a nail. Now, help me use vivid visualization, imaginative imagery, and paint the picture. The blacksmith got in an argument with his wife the night before. He didn't sleep much the night before. He goes in early in the morning before the soldier got on the horse. He didn't pay the proper degree of detail necessary to put the nail in properly in the horse's shoe before the soldier got on the horse. And there was a trainer, person responsible for the horse. He was dealing with what I call life issues. His daughter was sick. He was dealing with financial strain. He felt bad because he felt like he should be in the battle fighting as well. And he didn't pay the proper attention to the nail and the situation and knowing his surrounding, what was going on with the blacksmith. So he didn't do what was necessary either. Now, of course, in hindsight, which they didn't know before, they would have made sure that that nail was in place if they would have had the understanding that the entire kingdom would have been lost if it had not been for one nail. Since they did not have the foresight to determine what would happen, hindsight, after the fact, it's imperative that each and every day, in each and every way, that we do what's necessary with a whole nother manner and degree of detail, because you don't know which nail it may be. You don't know what thought. Gentleman Samuel Smile says, sow a thought, reap an action, sow an action, reap a habit, sow a habit, reap a character, sow a character, reap a destiny. So you don't know what thought that you allow to take root and to manifest,
continue to grow and develop, that's going to make the difference in either you getting where you need to go or not reaching where you have set to get to. Let's bring it more carefully. I'm sure some of the gentlemen here remember Super Bowl 26. It was the Redskins versus the Buffalo Bills. The Redskins team that won Super Bowl 26 was one of the greatest teams ever assembled. Thank you, sir. They're easy to dismiss because of the generic talent, but their domination was undeniable. Mark Rippon had a career year. That was their quarterback, a year that he would never again duplicate. There were basically two reasons for his success. He threw a long pass with unparalleled success and accuracy. It seemed every time Rippon aired it out, it flew squarely into the outstretched arms of a receiver in full stride. And he also received the best opportunity that an NFL quarterback had ever seen or has since seen. Now, his offensive line, now put this in perspective, the whole season with 18 games, they were allowed 9 sacks the entire season, including the playoffs through the Super Bowl. And the writer remembers a couple of things from the very start of the game. Firstly, he remembers an interview with Jim Lackey and Bruce Smith before the game. They were on the offensive line. And it wasn't anything either of them said. It was that after both interviews, the commentator remarked that he was shocked, and to paraphrase him, and that it was usually the defensive players that were intense, on fire, energetic. Lackey was normally very quiet, but the fire in his eyes that game was unmistakable. Now, before I contrast with the Buffalo Bills, I would reason to guess that it was not just on Super Bowl Sunday, but it was the previous week in the division playoffs. The first game of the playoffs, the last game of the season, halfway through the season, probably the first game of the season, he was on fire. Yeah. He had great expectation in terms of what he, with that team, could accomplish. Now, when I contrast with the Buffalo Bills, secondly, I remember fondly the Thomas helmet fiasco. I knew the Redskins were in good shape when the Bills had to run their first series with Kenneth Davis. He was on second string. Because Thomas, now this is an all-star player, could not find his helmet. I'm going to repeat that. This is Super Bowl Sunday. And this gentleman could not find his helmet. It wasn't because of the drop in talent between Thomas and Davis, but because it went hand in hand with the interview portion that the gentleman had earlier seen. The Redskins were there to win. The Bills were not. They say big games often come down to coaching. And on that day, Mark Levy of the Buffalo Bills was certainly no match for Joe Gibbs. I know some people are in here like, if I was in the Super Bowl, I'd know where at least my helmet was. But that was his one thing. There are probably hundreds of thousands of young men who have a desire to play in the NFL, be in the Super Bowl, whatever. But the helmet thing isn't their issue. But what is their issue? Maybe they don't practice as hard. It's something different and unique to each and every individual, but all of it has to do with diligence. I'm going to give you another example. College basketball coach John Wooden, he taught how to tie shoes. His team won 10 national championships in basketball. And the first day of practice, whether redshirt, freshman, or senior, he would sit them down and show them how to pull up their sock so that when they ran up and down the basketball court, they would not get a blister. And that they properly tied their shoes. Because he was not going to have in a close match, in a close basketball game, someone be going up for the game-winning layup and they missed it because they tripped over their shoelaces. Even to the extent that if you took one individual from one of his first teams, the first 2 years that he coached, and put them with individuals from the last 2 or 3 years, he was so consistent in terms of how he taught that they would have been ready to be on the same team and be in position to win that first day off of the bench. That's a contrast in what it means to be diligent as compared to slothfulness. And when should we do this? I would reason now, because over time, all things tend to drift. Yes. And they all tend to drift into equilibrium. Proverbs 6:6 says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shalt thy want come like an armed man, a traveler, to the person who's slothfulness. So it's important to be diligent now.
And I believe that the enemy of diligence is mediocrity, satisfaction, complacency, procrastination, and laziness. Because slothfulness is definitely the antidote of diligence. The slothful man is so lazy, he'll go out in a field, kill something, cook it, and it's so lazy he won't even put it to his mouth to eat. The slothful person, you can't depend on him. He's undependable, unreliable, irresponsible, double-minded, and makes excuses. He does what I call the squirrel dance. Have you ever seen a squirrel? You coming towards it, driving, kills it. And what ends up happening? He gets squashed. That's the situation with the slothful man. You can't depend on him for anything. Time is not promised, so it's important to be diligent. Like the woman who lost the piece of silver. The woman who lost the silver. We start off with who, what, when, why, and how. Who lost it? She lost it. What did she lose? A coin. When did she lose it? At night. Where did she lose it? In her own house. Now, why did she lose it? Because of what I call the issues of life. Stuff happens. So, she lost it. And so it's not important, exact reason why, but she showed up lost it. Now, when did she want to find what she had lost? She wanted to find it now. Now, let's go into how she handled herself. Although there was one thing that she lacked, she still had 9. 9 out of 10, that's an A-. She was aware enough first to know that something was missing. Yes. Second, she didn't settle. She didn't settle on the one, but she went after the one. She did not procrastinate, but she looked now. And she did not just know it, not settle, but she did not forget about the one, but searched in her house diligently. Yes. And she diligently searched until she found it. Now, we're going to contrast 9 verse 10. 9 verse 10, 10 verse 9. 9. The biblical meaning of the number 9 normally deals with judgment or the finality of things. It was in the 9th year of the prophet Hosea that the king of Assyria destroyed the capital city of the northern kingdom of Israel and carried the people away into exile. That's 2 Kings 6. It was in the 9th year of King Zedekiah's reign that
Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, conquered the southern kingdom of Judah, destroying the city of Jerusalem and the temple. That's 2 Kings 25. It was in the 9th hour, Jewish time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when Jesus gave up his life on the cross for the sins of the world. That's Matthew 27:46. Now, in contrast, 10. 10 is associated with a completeness that happens in some type of divine order, or something that's completed during a course of time. There's nothing that is left wanting within the complete cycle of the number 10. For example, Noah was in the 10th generation from Adam. There are 10 commandments. That's Exodus 20. There are 10 clauses in the Lord's Prayer. There are 10 virgins in Jesus' parable. You have, most of us, if not all of us, have 10 fingers. And we have how many toes? How many? Okay, now that's in the natural. Let's go spiritual. Romans 8, as Pastor Liza alluded to, 38 and 39. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, or any other creature, that's 10, shall be able to separate us from the love of God.